Hey guys, before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that I am now open for commissions. The commissions video is linked in the description. Just wanted to let you know that. Also, I have opened up a shop on Redbubble, so if you want to go and check out some of my stuff there, it's pretty great, so I'll link that in the description too. Anyway, onto the video. Alright, hey everyone! Welcome back to this GIMP tutorial series and welcome to the 8th installment. So lately we've been going over stuff like layers and then a few goofy things you can do with memes on GIMP. But today I wanted to go over the program from a more artistic outlook, just like an introduction, but to show you how you can do things that are a little bit more like art oriented on GIMP. So the first thing I want to do is show you how to make a new document on GIMP without using a photograph. So say you want to make a piece and you just want to start out with basically a blank slate, like a blank piece of paper. The way you would do that is you go to File, you would go to New, and then it's going to go to this little dialog box here that asks you to put in some parameters. So it really depends on what the size of the piece, what size you want the piece in. But in this case, I'm going to go for just a square sheet of paper, 2500 by 2500, which isn't terribly big, but I'm just going to do that and it'll give me this new square. So GIMP offers a lot of stuff just for like artist, which is great because that's what I use it for a lot on here. So let me just go over some of the more artistic oriented stuff that you can find on here. First of all is obviously the paintbrush. So the paintbrush on here has several different options that you can go for: size, aspect ratio, angle, spacing, hardness, force, and then it has this list of dynamics here. So just to show you, the paintbrush is now at size 213, which is obviously pretty big, but just to show you, like, this is what it's doing right now. The spacing is a little bit far apart. Let me put that together. And you can see, like, if we zoom in a little bit, you can see like how the spacing affects where the brush is going to leave its imprint, because basically the brush is just like a whole bunch of imprints of the brush spaced close together. So I put the spacing closer together. You can see it's a little bit smoother, not too much smoother though. Just put the spacing much less, and then yeah, you get more of a smooth line, especially when you're further away from it. So you can barely notice that. Of course, also, like, as you see the spacing, the closer together I put it, the slower it kind of trails behind. That's because it's processing more of the brush, so it takes a little bit longer for it to actually get that line going. But, undoing all those squiggles. Let's go back and pick a simpler brush. Now, the brush you get pretty much default on GIMP is this one here. It's just a round, hard brush, and as you can see, there's nothing really special about it. It's just a simple brush. But GIMP also offers other kinds of brush default. It offers a pencil. Now the pencil is pretty much the same as the paintbrush, except it always has a hard edge. So if you look at the paintbrush stroke versus the pencil stroke, if we get real close in, you notice that the paintbrush stroke looks way smoother. That's because the paintbrush stroke isn't all one color. If we get really close in here, you can see how it kind of makes it a lighter color toward the edges to give this an effect of like smoothing out from far away. But our pencil doesn't do that. It's a hard edge. It's the same color all the way across, which is useful for some things like painting color into the background. But if you want to make a smooth looking line, the paintbrush is your better option there. Let me see. We have the airbrush, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It gives you this very airy effect. It's much less opaque than the other brushes. It looks smoother. You can do a lot of things with this tool. It looks pretty cool, I think. You can go over here to ink. Ink is like pretty much a different brush entirely. It's basically meant to mimic sort of a calligraphy thing going on here. You may or may not use it, but I think it's interesting. GIMP also comes default with a thing called My Paintbrush on here, which is basically just a whole bunch of special brushes by GIMP. You see I have mine on Glow Airbrush right now. Black may not be the best color to use that on, but say I change the background to black. I went on here and I chose something like blue, and then I put it all the way up there to blue, and then I use that. It gives you sort of this neon glowing look. I think that looks pretty awesome, and you can change a lot of things about that too, like the radius, the base opacity. If you want it to be more opaque, the hardness, you could turn that down a little bit. radius up a little bit. There we go. Get like a really neon glowing streak. Looks pretty awesome. But that's just one of them. Like, I'm not even going to try to go over all these brushes because if you look at it, you can see that there's so many different brushes. The only complaint you may, or I have about the brushes is that they don't tend to be as versatile on their options. Obviously, you can see, like, if we go on the paintbrush, there's dynamics on here, which I'm going to go over in a minute. But if we go to my paintbrushes, there are no dynamics. You don't get as many options with it. In this case, like, the radius says 6, and that's pretty much as far as we can go with it. Like, you can't make it any bigger than that. So, and I nearly just made my program crash. So, also another consideration, I guess, just how much processing power it takes. So yeah, there's a bunch of different options on there for them, and I'm also going to show you some of the options for the different brushes that you can get. So, this comes default with like a circle brush. But most artists and most digital, like, editors will tell you that the circle brush may not be ideal for everything that you have. So if you look up here, I have all sorts of different brushes for GIMP on here that range from like a paint looking brush like that to this brush that's made pretty much for textures. But these brushes that I have here do not come default on GIMP. That's their one issue. So you might have, or you're going to have to, if you want these specific brushes and any other brushes besides the ones that come default with GIMP, you're going to have to download them. And I actually have a website that you can download them from. This is just, I mean, the title says it all, best GIMP brushes for drawing and painting, all free. So it's just sort of spread out of some different brushes that you can see. One that I would suggest that you download, this one's a good one. But one that I would suggest that you download is, if I can find it on here. Oh, here it is. 101 GIMP brushes. It's just a whole bunch of brushes for a whole bunch of different things. If you want any specified brushes, obviously there's this. Brushes that you can make all sorts of different things on here. I would suggest definitely downloading some hair brushes. Like if you're going to be drawing something like hair, these are super useful. Smoke brushes. There is a smoke brush on GIMP, but you can see how this would probably also be useful. So these are definitely something to consider downloading. If you do download them, like say I wanted to download this pack right now. Yeah, good deal. Okay. So I wanted to download this. I'm going to save this file right here. This is on DeviantArt, by the way. Also credit to the author of this. But I go ahead and open this file location. I'm going to extract. This is going to be in a zip, so I'm going to extract this file from the zip file by back-clicking on it and then going to extract all. And you can see it shows you everything that's inside here. These are in GIH files. The GIH files are the brushes. This is just a README and a smoke brushes sample. But what you're going to want to do is take all of these GIH files, just the GIH files, copy, and then my path will probably be a little different than your path, but I'll show you where it will probably be on your computer. In my case, it's users, SA, app data, roaming, GIMP, 210, brushes, and you can see I already have a whole bunch of brushes downloaded. But then once you get into the brushes folder, you just paste those files into the folder. I know it's a little bit technical, but they don't really have a system to where you can install new brushes on there, so that's what it's going to be. You probably won't have the same path as I do. Most likely your path will be program files, and then you should have a GIMP folder. The GIMP should take you to the 210 folder, and the 210 folder will have the brushes folder in it. And once you reach the brushes folder, open the brushes folder and then paste your brushes into it. And that should get you the brushes on GIMP. You won't see the brushes, however, until you shut down GIMP and then restart it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now and show you guys the brushes that I just downloaded. And I should have downloaded, yep. They downloaded in front of my default brushes. So LJF Smoke, and let's see what it looks like. Ooh, let's get a darker color and then see what it looks like. Yeah, that's really nice. That's cool. I don't regret this at all. That looks awesome. But yeah, So you definitely want to make sure that the brush you're using is actually suited for the kind of work that you want to do. And you may, like, GIMP may not have all the default brushes that you need. They do have a bunch of default brushes. If you look, everything below this little pixel brush here is a default GIMP brush. So they do have a good selection of brushes, like, don't get me wrong. But you definitely probably want to download some before you, you know, start working, just so you have those options. That's a great brush right there, actually. Anyway, okay, so that's all I'm going to go over today. I'm going to go over, I think I'm going to make a part 2 of this video just so it doesn't run too long. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!